Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kirsten and this is Small Bobbins. So another month has just completely flown by, and since we're getting into July now, that means there is a new collection. So the theme for this month is the Garden Party collection. Typically I like to have a color story for each collection that I put out, and the one for this month is yellow and purple. But as you'll be able to see, there is definitely, it's not strictly yellow and purple. It's there's definitely like a pastel vibe that's been continuing with the past couple collections. And what I really like about that is that it gives you the opportunity to really mix and match with different colors, different materials. There's definitely some core new laces, new materials that are being released this month, but there's a lot that I've incorporated from stuff that I already have in stock, a lot of like my core classic colors and materials. And so, I mean, that's just kind of the way that my inspiration and my kit making has happened with this collection. It's not like everything is brand new, but you know, maybe it will inspire you to kind of pick and choose things from this collection or things with your own stash. To create something beautiful. I have been hearing from a couple people who have seen the new materials already that it's kind of giving Bridgerton vibes, which I think is just kind of the buzzword among like fashion and sewing and you know, everything at the moment. I've already watched it, I'm kind of already over it. But anyway, there's definitely some just like, I mean, garden party. I'm trying to evoke this mood of like spring, warm weather, like sitting in the garden, a nice like flowery, you know, pastel, light colors, fun, beauty, stuff like that. So the core of this collection is really these 4 laces. And so I've got 2 that are yellow, like a pastel, lemony yellow, and I've got 2 that are a light purple. And then 2 of them, of course, are embroidered and have lots of other colorful details on them. And I think the nice thing about having laces that are not just one solid color is it really gives you a lot of room to play with, you know, adding other colors, which as you'll be able to see, like a lot of the samples that I made don't stick to one color specifically. I don't know if there's anything you can kind of take away from my design style, where I get my inspiration, the sorts of pieces that I put together is I love to make a bold color combination. So if there's any little bit of color that I can pull out of an embroidery and then use coordinating elastics, blah, 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 I will do that. The first up, I mean, I always think like maybe I should save the best for last, but I'm mostly just too excited to show this one off. So this is what I'm calling the Garden Party embroidered mesh. It's a gorgeous yellow mesh. Got a really sweet little edge to it. Let me see if I can get that close up, and I will add some close-ups as well so you can see it better without my face distorting it in the background. Got pink, light green, light pink, light blue, different yellows. It's really nice and it does stretch. But it stretches more in the center because there's less embroidery there, and then towards the edges it's just got a bit less stretch just because the embroidery itself doesn't stretch. The way that I use this lace is I made an underwire bra and a pair of lace panties, and both of which didn't really depend on the stretch, and so it's not like I really had to take into account like, oh, I need to align it more towards the edge or not towards the edge because I need the stretch or I don't need the stretch. I just kind of used it as I would have any normal lace. Like for the underwire bra, I lined it with a non-stretch material. For the panties, it wasn't really required that they were stretchy, so it just kind of worked out fine anyway. And to go along with this gorgeous like yellow, like lemon yellow color, I also got strap elastic and hook and eye closures. I only got one size of the hook and eye closure and one size of the strap elastic. As usual, everything comes from dead stock. So if you've listened to my past videos and heard my whole like philosophy about sourcing dead stock materials, it can be kind of hit or miss with the different sizes that are available. Like I'm never really able to get like every single, like a full range of all the elastics in one color. Sometimes I get lucky, but I'm usually not able to get more than a couple pieces. So in this case, the lace and the strap elastic and the hook and eye closures are all perfectly matching each other. But I also wanted to take advantage of the pastels that were mixed in with the embroidery. And so for the two pieces that I made with it, I really leaned heavily on the pink. So for example, I made a pair of lace panties. This is still a pattern of mine that I'm working on very slowly, drafting and grading and writing the instructions and testing all of that stuff. But they do sure look good. My sample works really well for me. And what I've done is I've backed the panties in satin jersey. And so this is something that I've already had in the shop for a while. It's like a candy pink, shiny, very stretchy. You know, it can be a main fabric, it can be a lining fabric, but I also use that as kind of like the second main fabric on this Lansdowne bra. And I'm just thrilled with how this came out. And with all of these pieces, I'll kind of talk a bit more in detail in like the later how I made this, what worked, what didn't work videos, but just to kind of show you like how gorgeous these two fabrics look together. And then if we look in the insides, I used the candy pink power net to go along with it, and then the sunrise colored sheer cup lining. And so as usual, it's like if you have the correct lining fabrics, you can kind of just throw whatever you want on top. And then I have the candy pink elastics, but then I also use the lemon yellow strap elastic. I just think it turned out so nice. One thing that I have found from, you know, a few years now of sourcing lingerie making supplies is it's very difficult or it's very expensive to get matching colors in like, you know, hook and eye linings, elastics, laces, and all of that. So my sewing philosophy has definitely leaned much more towards it's close enough, and that's fine for me. That's kind of how I've come to settle on these sorts of things. So I have a new light pink hook and eye closure in 2 sizes. It could be for you. It might not be for you. Should we just go on to the next yellow one? So this yellow is slightly warmer. I would say like one is more of like a lemony color and this one's maybe more like buttery. But this is just kind of your standard stretch lace. It's the same design as the pistachio lace from, what are we now, like 2 months ago. And so you could do something with that if you want. It is also just a very like, I don't know, it's very like traditional kind of classic design. It's nothing really too abstract. It's not too bold or graphic. And so with that in mind, I really did want to go full on with like the yellow and purple theme, and I made this gorgeous Harriet bra. And this is kind of my go-to pattern if I ever just want to make something that's like a lace bra, like a very lacy bra. And so it worked out really well just to like really show off, like give me a full canvas of this gorgeous yellow color. And I paired it with ultraviolet elastics. But also, if I turn around to the inside, you can see a lot of it on the inside is sunrise, like the kind of soft corally orange color that I have a bunch of stuff in as well. I really enjoy the contrast. If I have to say it a billion times, I will, but like I love bold color combinations. And so I'm really happy with how this yellow and purple and, you know, coral orange combination worked out. And then made a pair of panties. This is the citrine pattern that I'm still working on. It's not released yet. But again, it just really works well for like highlighting a gorgeous stretch lace. I always love to have stretch lace in my stash because it just kind of feels like you can do anything with it when it comes to like lingerie sewing. If you have big pieces of it left, then you can do something like, you know, the panties, like these will require kind of a large piece if you think it's going to stretch from the front to the back. But also you can get little pieces out of it, and then you don't even have to really make an entire garment out of it. But if you want to, for example, think of like just an upper cup, or I don't know, just lining like a piece of the back wing. And since it does stretch, it just does give you a bit of versatility. Like you could put it on the back wing, you could line it with something non-stretch and put it on the cup, you could make a bralette out of it, etc., etc., etc. And the nice thing about stretch lace instead of embroidered meshes and embroidered tools, they're usually a lot cheaper as well. So I always like to stock up on these, and it's just such a gorgeous color. So I'm really happy to have this in the collection. And then the light purples. And so kind of continuing with the stretch lace theme, this is a really gorgeous pastel light purple color. You can use it all the same ways that I just said for the lemon drop stretch lace, forgot to say the name, and then this is the lilac bounty stretch lace. This is very similar to a stretch lace that I offered about a year ago, and it sold out really quickly. So when I saw, I couldn't get that exact one again. So the design is a bit different, but the color is very similar. And I think the color was what everybody really liked. So I brought it back. It works really well with, I mean, essentially like any pastel color. If you can think of adding it to light pink, light yellow, light orange, light blue, light green, I think this purple would just coordinate really well with it. And so with that, I made a bralette, and I coordinated it with beige linings and yellow and purple elastics. And so it's nice. The ultraviolet ends up looking pretty dark, but I like the contrast that it has here. And the yellow, I think it coordinates really well. I used the hook and eye closure. And then, ooh, I forgot, we do have bows this collection as well. So a nice yellow colored bow there in the front. It just gives it a nice finishing touch. And so for this piece, I just used the stretch lace essentially as like regular fabric. I lined it with, you know, power net for where it needed power net. And I used this kind of silky microfiber lining for the cups. Because like I keep saying in my previous videos, I need more opaque bras and bralettes. And so I remembered to actually line my bralette this time. And that worked out really well. And the lace is just on top to make it look beautiful. I did also pair this lace with a kit that I had released last year with more of the sunrise materials. There's this one fabric that I have, which I will pop up a close-up somewhere along the editing process. It's this really funky, like wavy microfiber. It's opaque, it's soft, it's stretchy. It's a great fabric for making panties with, or, you know, if you want to line it for bras and bralettes, for example. And I had paired the old light purple stretch lace with that fabric to make a really excellent bra making kit. But once the lace sold out, then the kit didn't work. So I just reworked it for this lace. So you can get that sunrise kit as well with this new light purple lace, or I've got the bralette kit combining it with the lemon yellow materials as well. And then we've got this one. So I'm calling this the Sugared Violets Embroidered Stretch Mesh. It's another one where it does technically have some stretch, but I wouldn't count on it too much. The areas where it's got more embroidery, it's got less stretch. And this one in particular, it's actually quite narrow, but I wouldn't call it a narrow trim. It's just like, you're gonna have to be creative with how you use this lace. It's gorgeous though, so I would highly suggest that you do find a way to use it. It's got this really beautiful like light purple color as the base, but then it's got very like bold magenta and orange and hot pink embroidery in there as well. I really kept on theme with like the light purples and the pinks when I made this Hannah bralette. Yes, I have plenty to say about making another Hannah bralette. This really ended up being a like tone on tone on tone on tone on tone bralette. There's a lot of different like light purple, light pink materials in here. None of them quite match each other, but I think for me, the end effect of all of these different tones where none of them are really matching each other, I think the end effect works really well. It's almost like, it's the word I'm looking for. It's like a prismatic effect. The fact that none of them match, I think works in its favor. And so we've got the embroidered mesh as like the main lace on the inner cup. But for the rest of the bralette, I'm using the Lavender Haze satin jersey. And then for the elastics, I've got candy pink, I've got light purple, I've got the new like light pink hook and eye closures, and then the light lavender power net. And obviously like I'm kind of just spouting off all of these names. All of this is available like as a kit. So if you're just like, yes, give it to me, I like those colors all together, it's one easy click away. If you do want to go searching through like all of the different elastics, you can kind of figure out if there are certain colors that you would prefer more or less. One thing that I always encourage people to do if they see a kit, and especially like a sample garment that I've made, but there's like one or two pieces that they just don't like maybe you do want pink strap elastic instead of light purple, I really encourage you to, I have a list of all of the materials on the product page. So it says there's, 2 meters of this elastic and 3 meters of that elastic. Use it as a shopping list. So you can just copy it down, then you can be sure that you're not forgetting anything. So if you want to start putting together a separate kit of your own, you want to make sure that you don't forget the underarm elastic or the narrow elastic, etc., etc. Like you can just use my list as like, your shopping list. And yes, I will make a later video about putting together this bra, but I will just say it fits. And for the panties, okay, my favorite thing to say, I'm working on this pattern, but this is another pattern that I'm working on. It's a gorgeous high-waisted pattern with some like really stunning lace details. And I just figured that since it's only got this kind of narrow stripe on the back, that it would work really well for this narrow stretch lace, and I was right. For this one, I've also added the sunrise elastic for the waistband, just to give that little hint of orange as well, and I think it comes out really stunning. And like I said, I am combining a lot of these new materials with a lot of stuff that's already in the shop. So this Lavender Haze satin jersey has actually been in the shop for over a year now, but I still have enough to kind of combine it with this collection. I feel like it reinvigorates it in some way. It's always nice to just kind of remind people like what's already in the shop, or maybe what's already in your stash. Maybe you bought some of this and you're just like, I don't actually know what to do with it. So here's some fresh inspiration. And kind of continuing with the light purple theme, I also have this really cute daisy trim. So it's just little teeny embroidered daisies. There's white ones and there's light purple ones, and they have kind of a neon light green center. It's just a non-stretch trim, so you can add it to places that obviously don't need stretch. You wouldn't put it around a panties waistband, for example, because that needs to stretch. So I had an idea for an Odessa top and I just couldn't get it out of my head. So I made a light purple and white Odessa corset style top. So this is a free pattern from Madeline. And then I just attached the daisy trim along the side. So they're not actually on top of the channeling, because then I can get the boning inside, but they're right next to it. And then I used the satin jersey as the outer fabric, and I used lavender power net as the inner supportive fabric. And so if you have seen the Odessa pattern before, maybe you recognize that this one is a little different than the pattern instructions. I've replaced the front closure with a back closure. And so if you want to get this kit, I do have several options for different sized closures, or if you want to recreate the front with G-hooks, which I have done with another version of the Odessa that I've made as well. But I'll make a separate video just kind of giving a rundown of the changes that I made. It's not an authentic corset by any means, but it's a very cute top, and I like to wear it over like a white button-up, for example. I did size up so that it would fit over clothes, but it's just like, it's stretchy, it's easy, it's got a bit of like structure with the boning, but I just love the color and like the shine of the satin jersey and the really cute daisy trim. I'm really happy with how that came out. And yeah, so that rounds out the garden party collection, which is brand new for this month. So that means all of these kits and all of these materials are now live over at smallbobbins.com, as well as everything else that you would need to make your own gorgeous lingerie. So, you know, if that's something that you're into, go over to the shop and feel free to check out everything that's available there. And I'll be back soon with more videos about my makes and tips and tricks about sewing lingerie, new materials, planning, blah, 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 all sorts of stuff. So be sure to like and subscribe to the newsletter. That's really the best place to get first dibs on all new materials and hear about sales and stuff like that. And okay, I'll see you next time. Bye guys.